We're here today in the studio of mosaic artist Linda Bohr, who is creating the Ivanhoe Spa mosaic, which will be installed on the Bath grounds in Ashby. Also in the studio is local artist Di Lorriman, who created the original design for the mosaic.
Well, Di, it's the first time you've seen this from your original design, and now it's turning into a mosaic. What do you think of it?
I just think it blows you away. Oh. It's absolutely lovely. I love the way you've interpreted the design, and you've captured that perspective and colouring on the building. And that's the bit you're working on now?
It is, yes, yeah. And I'm very relieved that you like how it's going so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting how to do it in perspective, because I've never actually had to work in perspective before.
Yeah.
But you know, it's good to have a challenge, isn't it? And at the end, it'll certainly be worth the extra work that's had to go into it. Yeah. But I do think the angle that it's on really adds to it. So it's coming on.
And it's interesting that you've actually picked out the things that were in detail, you know, the activities that were going on in the baths at the time, like the croquet and the tennis and the things on the bath grounds, and you've actually picked to do those first. Is there a reason for that?
I think at the beginning of a mosaic it's so exciting, and so it's really nice to do those detail things, and that's how I like to work. I love to work on the detail, so I'm delighted that the design has got so many detailed areas in it. And really, I think those are the bits that people are going to see the most. So for me, it's important that they are right and they stand out. And then the rest of it is pretty much background stuff, really. So I will do that later. And then when I can see the main items, I can work out what we need to do to the background to tie it all together.
Yeah. I know that these tesserae, they're called, aren't they?
Yes.
The ones you've used mostly seem to be square, which you've cut.
Yes.
But I see in the water they're a different shape. Is that something else that you've chopped up?
Yes, there we are. That was a sheet of stained glass, and because it's water, it needed to have some movement in it, and so really having everything in squares would be quite boring, really. Yeah. So I just used a different medium for that. And these are a different type of thing as well. So we've got different types of stained glass. The stuff that I've used up here is marble. I thought it'd be really nice to have proper stone, because obviously it would have been made from real stone rather than glass. And then for the accent colours that are going to go in, I'm actually going to use ceramic tiles, which will go in, mainly because I can't get the right shade of marble to look right.
No.
And you've managed to get so much depth into the design that I want to get the colours right. So I'm going to be using ceramic to get those additional colours that will give it the depth.
Yeah.
And you know, I have to say, it's so lovely having a design that's been done so well by you for me to work on, because normally I have to go through lots of work to try and get that right.
Thank you.
But it's great to have it already to start with, and anyway I can talk to you along the way, because it's quite lonely being a mosaic artist. It's great to be able to discuss it with you and have your ideas as well.
From my point of view, it's really interesting in the way that it's on this sort of nylon netting. I mean, how are you going to get that off there? And my drawing is behind on a piece of paper.
Yes.
And at the moment you can see through to do the mosaicing, if that's the right word. And then this down here is kind of like wobbly. So how are you going to get that off onto something?
Yes, I often wonder that. For this I've used an indirect method. Often when I work, I'll use the baseboard at the back, and I'll put the pieces of mosaic on directly, and that's where they'll stay. But to do this, I needed to see your design first, so I couldn't do that without transferring it to the board. So what I have is your design, then a piece of polythene, and then this mesh. And what I'm actually doing then is sticking the tesserae on with a very thin coat of the cement-based adhesive. So when I lift it up, it will actually come away from the polythene underneath it.
Right.
So when it's complete, what we'll do is it's going to go in a frame. So the frame's already been built, and then I'll put the backing board in that. Then I'll cover that with a layer of adhesive, and then very carefully lift this off on the mesh, and then place it down still on the mesh and tamp it down to make sure it's all level. and then it'll be ready for grouting once that's set.
Right. And what sort of colour of grouting? Will you use the same colour all over, or will you perhaps fill in certain things in the colours that they are?
Yeah, very good question. Yes, I will be using different colours of grout. I'm probably going to be using brown grout for a lot of the bottom part because of the amount of green that's in it, and it does look nice with the brown grout. But when it comes to the building itself, that poses a problem anyway, because the marble is very absorbent. So what I'm going to have to do is to treat the marble, because what would happen is as soon as I put grout over the top, it will absorb the colour from the grout. I was going to do this in brown, but I've since thought that what I'll do when I grout is I'll tape this area off, do the rest of it, and then I'll do this in cream, because if there is any absorption of colour you won't really see it, and anyway the cream grout will make it look like it would
show
be
the stone, won't
yes,
it?
it will show the stone up much better, and then the sky will probably be a different colour as well. I might do that in a grey. So once it's actually laid down ready for grouting, that can take quite a long time to actually do that.
The lighting, I probably set you a task with that as well. But I wanted the light to come from one direction and look a bit realistic, and you've really reflected that well with the perspective as well, and also on here as well. Presumably that's going to be a little bit darker there.
That'll be filled in just as your picture up there, which I refer to all the time. Great place to have it because I can just glance up, and that really helps with the shading and the accents, really. Yeah.
And when we had the meeting at my house to show the bath grounds, the design, and see what they thought of it, Lorna was there, if you remember.
Yes.
And I think it's a lovely idea to put something to represent Lorna into this mosaic, and I wondered if you'd come up with any ideas on that.
Yes, we're ready to do that, really. I've met with some of the friends of the project and discussed what might be useful, and apparently she used to say to people, "Oh, you are a star," and so it seemed really fitting to put a star in here for her.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm looking at doing a shooting star for her, which will go in this space here, which is just sitting there with nothing in. So as you can see, the other three corners have something in, so that's a perfect place, really. I'll just lean over here. I have got, it'll be something like this, so a little star that goes in there.
Oh, lovely.
I thought in silvers and golds, and then I've got some lettering, so we'll put her name in there as well. So, so it won't stand out, but I think it will fit in really nicely.
Yes,
and because it's got her name, it's obviously a dedication to someone as well.
And very appropriate.
Yes,
too.
yes, indeed. I only met her once, but she was very lovely, made quite an impression.
Yeah.
So that would be nice to do that, and it fits in nicely because I love doing mosaics that tell stories, not just that are just a picture. So it's great having all the little bits in that tells the story of what happened at the spa and how people used it and enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's looking terrific. Anyway, I'm absolutely thrilled to bits. I think
great. That is such a relief.
But thank you for letting me come and have a look at it.
No, I'm over the moon that you were part
really
of
nice,
it. It's great. It's great to work with someone else on it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.